Christmas night covered the city with quiet lights and slow-moving air. The streets were calm and almost empty as families stayed inside their homes. Windows glowed with warm colors and soft music could be heard from faraway houses. Snow fell gently and rested on the sidewalks without sound. For many people this night meant comfort and joy, but for some it only meant another long night. Adam stood near a bus stop at the edge of the business district. He wore an old jacket that was thin at the elbows and heavy with the smell of work. His hands were rough and red from the cold and from lifting boxes all day. In one hand he held a small paper bag and in the other he held a phone with a cracked screen. He checked the time again even though he already knew the bus was late. Inside the paper bag was a sandwich wrapped in paper and a small toy car made of cheap plastic. Adam had bought the toy during his lunch break after counting his coins twice. It was the only gift he could manage this year. The toy was for his 6-year-old son Leo, who was staying with a neighbor because Adam worked late. Adam planned to wake Leo early the next morning and give him the toy with a smile. Adam felt tired deep inside his body and mind. This was not the kind of tiredness that sleep could fix. It was the kind that grew slowly over years. 2 years ago, Adam had a different life. He had a small apartment full of noise and warmth. His wife smiled often and laughed easily. Leo was younger then and always running around the house. Christmas used to mean food on the table and stories before sleep. Everything changed when illness entered their lives. Adam tried his best to stay strong, but nothing prepared him for the loss. His wife was gone within months and the house became silent. Bills arrived one after another and work hours became longer. Adam stopped dreaming about the future and focused only on the next day. His goal was simple and heavy at the same time. Keep Leo safe and fed. That Christmas night, Adam sat on the cold bench at the bus stop. He leaned forward with his elbows on his knees. Snow landed on his shoulders and melted slowly. He closed his eyes for a moment and breathed deeply. His body asked for rest, but his mind stayed alert. He thought about Leo sleeping safely, and that thought gave him strength. A black car moved quietly down the street and stopped a short distance away. The engine was smooth and barely made a sound. A driver stepped out and opened the back door with care. A woman stepped onto the sidewalk and adjusted her coat. Her shoes were clean and her posture was straight, but her face showed tiredness. Her name was Clara. Many people in the city knew her name from news and business reports. She was the CEO of a powerful company with offices around the world. Her days were filled with meetings, numbers, and decisions that affected thousands of people. On paper, she had everything that defined success. Money, respect, and control followed her everywhere. That night, Clara had left a long meeting that stretched far past dinner time. Her team celebrated another successful year and spoke about plans for the future. People smiled and raised glasses. Clara smiled too, but inside she felt empty. Christmas night always felt heavier to her. She returned to a large quiet home with no voices waiting for her. As Clara walked along the sidewalk, she noticed Adam sitting alone at the bus stop. She slowed her steps without knowing why. There was something about his stillness that caught her attention. His head was lowered and his shoulders were heavy as if carrying invisible weight. The small paper bag in his hand looked out of place against the quiet street. Clara stopped a few steps away and looked at him. Adam felt her presence and opened his eyes. He straightened quickly, feeling awkward and unsure. He was not used to being noticed by people like her. Their eyes met briefly and Adam felt small and exposed. "I am sorry," Adam said softly, though he was not sure why he apologized. Clara shook her head gently and gave a small smile. She spoke in a calm voice that did not sound rushed. She said that there was nothing to be sorry about. They stood in silence as snow continued to fall around them. The city felt distant and quiet. Clara noticed the tired lines on Adam's face and the way his hands shook slightly from the cold. Adam noticed that despite her fine clothes she looked just as tired as he felt. "You look very tired," Clara said in a low voice. Adam nodded slowly and looked down. He said it had been a long day. Clara looked at the empty space on the bench next to him. She hesitated for a moment, as if listening to her own thoughts. Then she surprised both of them by speaking again. She asked if she could rest on his shoulder for 5 minutes. Her voice was almost a whisper. The words felt strange in the cold air. Adam froze and stared at her. His mind searched for reasons and explanations but found none. This woman with power and status was asking him for something simple and human. He felt confused and nervous. Before he could answer, Clara added that it would only be 5 minutes and that she promised. Adam swallowed and nodded slowly. He said okay in a quiet voice. Clara sat down beside him on the bench. She moved carefully and respectfully. She leaned her head gently against his shoulder. Adam sat very still, afraid to move or breathe too loudly. He felt the light weight of her head and the warmth through his jacket. For a moment neither of them spoke. Snow continued to fall softly around them. The city remained quiet. In that small shared space something changed. Adam felt his chest loosen for the first time that night. Clara closed her eyes and felt calm wash over her. Two strangers sat together on a cold bench on Christmas night. They shared silence instead of words. They shared rest instead of promises. Neither of them knew that this quiet moment would be remembered long after the snow melted. And neither of them knew that this simple request would open a door to a future they never expected. The 5 minutes passed slowly, but neither of them moved. The cold bench no longer felt as hard as before. Adam stared ahead at the empty road while Clara rested quietly on his shoulder. The snow continued to fall and covered the ground in a soft white layer. The city seemed to hold its breath, as if protecting the moment. Clara felt something she had not felt in years. Her mind stopped racing and her shoulders relaxed. She did not think about meetings or numbers or tomorrow. She only listened to the steady breathing of the man beside her. It reminded her that life existed outside offices and tall buildings. Adam felt warmth spread through his chest. It surprised him and made his eyes sting slightly. He had not been this close to another adult in a long time. Since his wife passed away, he avoided moments like this. They felt dangerous and fragile. Still he stayed still and allowed the moment to exist. When Clara finally lifted her head, she did so slowly. She sat up straight and looked forward for a second before turning to Adam. She thanked him softly and smiled. Her smile was small but real. Adam nodded and said it was okay. His voice sounded steady, but his heart beat faster. He did not know why this moment felt important. He only knew it felt honest. The bus still had not arrived. The street remained quiet. Clara looked at Adam again and asked if he was going home. Adam said he was heading to pick up his son from a neighbor in the morning. He explained that he worked late shifts and did his best to manage. Clara listened closely. She did not interrupt or rush him. Adam was not used to being heard like this. He spoke slowly and carefully, choosing simple words. He talked about Leo and how smart and kind he was. He talked about trying to make Christmas feel special even when money was tight. Clara felt something tighten in her chest. She had never had children. Her life was full but also empty in quiet ways. She admired the way Adam spoke about his son. There was pride and worry mixed together. It was clear that everything he did was for Leo. She asked Adam where he worked. He told her about the warehouse and the long hours. He said the job was hard but steady and that he was thankful for it. Clara nodded and said that sounded exhausting. Adam smiled weakly and said it was. A car passed slowly and disappeared around the corner. Snowflakes landed on Clara's coat and melted. She looked up at the sky and then back at Adam. She told him that Christmas night could be lonely even when surrounded by people. Adam agreed and said loneliness felt louder on nights like this. For a moment neither of them spoke again. The silence did not feel awkward. It felt shared. Adam realized that he did not feel invisible right now. Clara realized that she did not feel powerful or important. She just felt human. The sound of the bus finally echoed down the street. Its headlights grew closer. Adam stood up slowly and picked up his paper bag. Clara stood as well and adjusted her coat. The bus stopped with a quiet hiss. Adam turned to Clara and wished her a good night. He hesitated and then thanked her for sitting with him. Clara smiled and said the thanks belonged to him. She said that sometimes people needed rest more than answers. Adam stepped onto the bus and found a seat near the back. He looked out the window as the bus pulled away. He saw Clara standing there alone for a moment. She raised her hand slightly and then turned toward her car. As the bus moved through the city, Adam leaned his head back and closed his eyes. He felt lighter than before. He thought about Leo and the toy car in the bag. He imagined Leo smiling, and that thought filled him with quiet hope. Clara got into her car and gave the driver her address. She sat quietly in the back seat and looked out the window. The city lights passed by like distant stars. She replayed the moment at the bus stop in her mind. It felt simple but meaningful. When Clara arrived home, she walked through the large quiet rooms. The decorations looked perfect but untouched. She placed her coat on a chair and sat down slowly. For the first time in a long while, she did not feel the urge to check her phone or emails. She thought about Adam and his tired eyes. She thought about Leo and the small toy in the paper bag. She wondered how many people lived just like that, unseen and unheard. The thought stayed with her as she went to bed. The next morning, Christmas light filled the city again. Adam woke early and went to pick up Leo. Leo ran to him with a smile and hugged him tightly. Adam gave him the toy car and Leo held it like treasure. Adam felt proud even though the gift was small. Clara woke later than usual. She skipped her usual routine and made herself a simple breakfast. She sat by the window and watched the snow melt slowly. Her mind returned to the bus stop again and again. She made a decision quietly and without announcement. She told herself it was time to pay closer attention. Not to numbers or charts but to people. Neither Adam nor Clara knew it yet, but Christmas night had planted something between them. It was not romance or promises. It was understanding. And understanding had a way of changing lives in ways no plan ever could. The days after Christmas moved quickly, and the snow slowly faded from the sidewalks. Adam returned to his usual routine of long shifts and quiet mornings. He walked Leo to school when he could and picked him up when the work schedule allowed. The neighbor helped sometimes, and Adam always thanked her with honest respect. Life was still heavy, but Christmas morning had given Adam a small feeling of success. Leo played with the toy car every day and told stories about it like it was a real race car. Adam listened and smiled even when his body ached. Clara returned to her company building and stepped into a world of bright screens and fast conversations. People greeted her with polite smiles and hurried behind her with tablets and papers. Meetings filled her calendar and every hour demanded attention. Still, her mind kept returning to the bus stop. She remembered the cold air and the quiet bench. She remembered the tired man who did not ask for anything. She remembered how safe she felt for 5 minutes. That memory did not fade like snow. It stayed sharp and clear. Clara asked her assistant to bring her a report about employee pay across different departments. Her assistant looked surprised but nodded and promised to prepare it. Clara also asked for a list of contracted workers connected to company supply chains. She did not explain why. She just said she wanted to understand the real lives behind the work. The assistant worked quickly and brought documents by the afternoon. Clara read them carefully and noticed patterns that made her stomach turn. Many workers were paid just enough to survive, but not enough to breathe. Many schedules were unstable and benefits were missing. Clara felt an uncomfortable truth settle inside her. Success at the top could hide struggle at the bottom. A week later, Clara decided to visit one of the warehouses that handled goods for the company. She chose a visit without cameras and without a public announcement. She told only a few people and asked them to keep it quiet. On a cold morning, she arrived with a simple coat and no large group behind her. The manager greeted her with nervous energy and tried to offer a perfect tour. Clara told him she wanted to see the real work. She asked to walk where the workers walked. She asked to speak to people directly. Adam was on shift that day. He was moving boxes from a pallet to a conveyor line. He kept his head down and focused on speed and safety. The supervisor had warned everyone that a visitor was coming. Adam assumed it was another inspection that would change nothing. He did not expect to see Clara. Clara stepped into the working area and looked around with calm eyes. She watched the movement and the rhythm of the warehouse. She saw hands lifting and placing. She saw tired faces trying to stay strong. The air smelled of cardboard and dust and cold metal. Clara walked slowly and did not interrupt the flow. Then her eyes landed on Adam. Adam looked up for a second and froze. Clara stopped as well, and their eyes met again. It was the same feeling as Christmas night. It was surprise mixed with recognition. The noise of the warehouse faded for a moment inside Adam's mind. Clara gave a small nod, as if to say she remembered. Adam nodded back without words. The manager began speaking quickly to explain the department. Clara raised a hand to pause him. She walked closer to Adam and asked his name. Adam swallowed and said his name was Adam. Clara said she remembered him from Christmas night. The manager looked confused and glanced between them. Adam felt his cheeks warm with embarrassment, but he stayed calm. He said he remembered her too. Clara asked if Adam had time to talk for a minute. The supervisor looked nervous, but Clara asked again in a firm, calm voice. The supervisor agreed, and Adam stepped aside with Clara to a quieter corner. Clara asked how Leo was doing. Adam was surprised she remembered his son's name. He said Leo was doing well and that school was going fine. Clara listened closely. Clara asked Adam what made work hardest for him. Adam did not want to complain. He had learned that complaining could cost a person respect. Still, Clara's eyes did not look like someone waiting to judge. They looked like someone waiting to understand. Adam spoke carefully. He said the long hours were difficult. He said the schedule changed often. He said he sometimes had to choose between sleep and time with Leo. He said he was thankful for work but wished life had more balance. He said he felt tired all the time. Clara nodded slowly. She asked about support for parents. Adam said there was not much. He said he managed with help from neighbors. He said he did not have family nearby. He said he tried to save money but emergencies always appeared. He did not talk about every painful detail. He kept it simple and honest. Clara thanked him for telling the truth. She asked if he had any ideas to improve things. Adam hesitated. Then he said steady schedules would help. He said fair pay would help. He said a small child care support option could change many lives. He said even simple kindness from management could make a shift feel less crushing. Clara listened without interrupting. She asked one more question. She asked what Adam wanted most for Leo. Adam answered quickly. He said he wanted Leo to feel safe and proud. He said he wanted Leo to believe his father was doing his best. Clara looked down for a moment. Then she looked back at Adam and said she respected that. She said she was sorry for his loss without asking for details. Adam did not answer right away. He only nodded and looked away for a second. Clara returned to the manager and continued the tour. She asked direct questions about schedules and pay. The manager tried to give smooth answers, but Clara asked for numbers. She asked for proof. She asked for plans. The manager began to sweat. Workers watched from a distance and felt something unusual in the air. It felt like someone important was finally seeing them. That evening Clara sat in her office and called a private meeting with a few trusted leaders. She told them she wanted changes that would reach the warehouse floor. She spoke about stable schedules and family support. She spoke about better pay and training for managers. Some leaders looked worried about costs. Clara listened and then spoke again with calm force. She said a company that ignored people would eventually fall. She said she was not willing to lead a company that forgot its workers. The room became quiet. A few days later Adam received an email from Human Resources. He expected it to be about a shift change. Instead it invited him to a small focus group for workers to share needs and ideas. Adam was skeptical but also curious. He attended after his shift and found other workers there too. A facilitator asked questions and actually listened. Adam felt strange saying his thoughts out loud in a room where they mattered. He spoke anyway. Leo noticed small changes too. Adam began coming home at more regular times. He still worked hard, but the schedule felt less chaotic. Adam was still tired, but the tiredness was not as sharp. He had more evenings to help Leo with homework and more mornings to eat breakfast together. Leo smiled more and talked more. Adam felt like he could finally breathe. Clara watched the early results and felt something inside her shift. For years she chased growth and applause. Now she chased something quieter and stronger. She chased fairness. She chased dignity. And she kept remembering the shoulder on Christmas night. She understood now that a simple moment could open a new way of living. But not everyone was happy about the changes. Some leaders whispered that Clara had gone soft. Some investors began asking questions. Rumors moved through the halls like cold wind. Clara knew a storm could be coming. And Adam had no idea that his honest words might place him in the center of that storm soon. If you want, I can continue with part 4 in the same exact style and length. The storm arrived in quiet ways before it arrived in loud ways. Clara began receiving polite emails that carried sharp meanings. Investors asked for meetings and used careful words about direction and risk. A few leaders inside the company started acting different around her. Smiles became shorter and conversations ended faster. Clara noticed everything, but she did not show fear. Adam felt the change too, even though he did not understand the full picture. The warehouse felt calmer and the schedule became more stable. Some workers were grateful and some were suspicious. A few supervisors complained under their breath. They said the company was spending too much money. They said workers should be happy with whatever they got. Adam stayed quiet and focused on his job. One afternoon Adam was called into an office. A manager sat behind a desk with a stiff expression. Another person from Human Resources sat beside him with a folder. Adam felt his stomach tighten because surprises usually meant bad news. The manager said the company needed to review some worker feedback sessions. The manager said Adam had spoken a lot in those sessions. The manager asked Adam why he was pushing for changes. Adam kept his voice calm. Adam said he did not push for anything. Adam said he answered questions honestly. Adam said he only wanted a stable life so he could take care of his son. The manager frowned and said honesty could create trouble. Adam did not respond to that. Adam simply said he worked hard and showed up every day. When Adam left the office he felt anger and worry mixing inside him. He walked back to his station and kept working. He did not want conflict. He wanted peace. Still he could not erase the feeling that someone was watching him now. That same week Clara faced a bigger problem. A small group of executives prepared a plan to weaken her changes. They said they supported her publicly but tried to slow everything behind the scenes. They delayed approvals and questioned budgets. They suggested cutting the new programs quietly. Clara noticed the pattern and asked for a full review. Her request made certain people nervous. Clara called a private meeting with the board. She did not raise her voice. She used clear facts and clear numbers. She showed how stable schedules reduced turnover. She showed how better support improved performance. She showed how long-term trust could protect the company better than short-term savings. Some board members listened with respect. Others looked cold and distant. After the meeting, one board member pulled Clara aside. He warned her that people were talking about replacing her. He said some investors wanted a leader who focused only on profits. He said the company could become a battlefield. Clara thanked him for the warning. Clara said she already knew. Clara said she would not step back. Clara made a decision that night. She remembered the bus stop again. She remembered how a tired man gave her 5 minutes of peace without asking for anything. Clara understood that her power meant nothing if she used it only to protect herself. Clara decided she would protect the people who could not protect themselves easily. The next morning Clara visited the warehouse again. This time she came with a small team and a plan. She asked for a meeting space and invited workers from different shifts. Adam was surprised when he received the invitation. He almost refused because he did not want more attention. Then he thought about Leo. He thought about the chance to keep the new stability. He decided to attend. The room filled with workers in simple jackets and tired eyes. Clara stood at the front without a stage and without fancy words. She thanked them for their work. She said she had heard their voices. She said some people wanted the changes to stop. She said she would not let that happen quietly. Clara explained the truth in a simple way. Clara said that when a company grows it must decide what it values. Clara said people were not tools. Clara said the company would move forward with stable schedules and fair support. Clara said managers would be trained to treat workers with respect. Clara said there would be a clear way to report problems without fear. Clara said this was not charity. Clara said it was smart and it was right. The room stayed silent for a moment. Then a worker in the back spoke softly. He asked what would happen to workers who spoke up. Clara looked directly at the group. Clara said no one would be punished for honest feedback. Clara said she would personally review any case that involved retaliation. Clara said anyone who tried to threaten workers would face consequences. Adam felt his chest loosen. Adam did not fully trust promises because life taught him to be careful. Still, Clara's words sounded different from typical talk. They sounded like commitment. Adam raised his hand slowly. Clara nodded at him. Adam spoke in a steady voice. Adam said he did not want special treatment. Adam said he wanted the chance to be a good father. Adam said he wanted to work hard and still have time to help his son grow. Adam said the new stability helped him. Adam said it helped many others too. Adam said he hoped the company would not forget them again. Clara thanked him in front of everyone. Clara said his honesty mattered. Clara said his story reminded her why leadership should never be distant. Clara said this company would not build success by stepping on people. Clara said it would build success by lifting the foundation. After the meeting, the mood in the warehouse shifted. Some managers looked nervous. Some workers looked hopeful. Rumors still existed, but now there was a stronger feeling in the air. People felt seen. A few days later, Clara held a larger company-wide meeting that included investors and media. Clara did not share private worker details. Clara shared results and purpose. Clara announced a long-term plan called the Balance Promise. She explained it as stable schedules, fair support, and respectful workplaces. She explained that the company would measure success not only by profit, but also by retention and well-being. Some investors reacted with concern. Others reacted with curiosity. Then something unexpected happened. A major business outlet published a story about the company changes and the positive effects on workers. They interviewed employees who spoke about stable schedules and better training. They shared numbers showing lower turnover and better productivity. The story spread quickly and public support grew. Investors who wanted to remove Clara began to hesitate. They saw that the public response could strengthen the brand. They saw that the numbers were improving. The board began to lean toward Clara again. Quiet threats turned into quiet compromises. The battlefield cooled. Adam continued working, but his fear slowly faded. The manager who questioned him earlier stopped calling him into the office. New rules made it harder to pressure workers. Adam focused on his life at home. He cooked simple meals and helped Leo with reading. He attended a school event for the first time in months because his schedule allowed it. Leo smiled proudly when he saw his father in the crowd. On a calm evening, Adam walked Leo home from school. Leo held the toy car in his hand, even though months had passed. Leo said it was his lucky car. Adam laughed softly. Leo asked Adam why things felt better lately. Adam thought for a moment. Adam said sometimes one kind person notices another person. Adam said sometimes that small moment can change a lot. That night Clara sat in her office after everyone left. She looked out at the city lights and felt something close to peace. She did not feel lonely the way she used to. She still carried responsibility, but it felt meaningful now. She opened a small notebook and wrote a single line. She wrote that leadership begins where comfort ends. A week later Clara passed the same bus stop where she met Adam on Christmas night. The bench was empty and the street was quiet again. Clara asked her driver to stop for a moment. She stepped out and looked at the bench. She remembered the weight of her head on a stranger's shoulder. She remembered the relief. She whispered a thank you to the cold air. Clara returned to the car and smiled softly. She knew the moment was not about romance or magic. It was about humanity. It was about seeing someone and being seen. It was about choosing to care when it was easier not to care. Adam arrived home later that evening and found Leo asleep on the couch with a book on his chest. Adam lifted him gently and carried him to bed. Adam sat beside him for a moment and listened to his quiet breathing. Adam felt tired but also proud. Adam felt like he was building something again. And somewhere in the same city Clara also felt like she was building something. Not a tower of glass and numbers. A foundation of people and dignity. The Christmas whisper had lasted only 5 minutes. The change it created lasted far longer.